Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. It is now after draft week, and the Tennessee Titans have made all their picks. I've been gone a minute. I was gonna do some stuff before then, but things kind of got in the way, so I wasn't able to do it. But here I am now to review the draft that happened over this past weekend. The Titans, I think it was a solid draft. I'm gonna go through each player. I'm gonna give them a grade. I'm gonna give an overall grade. I think this was a solid draft. I mean, there was some questionable picks, and there's some picks I liked. Tough. We'll see how this draft is gonna pan out, because this draft is more of a. This draft was kind of a risky draft. It's like a lot of high potential, but we don't know if they're gonna reach it type stuff. They're risky. So, first round, obviously, we went J.C. Latham. We had to go J.C. Latham because Joe Alt got taken by the Chargers. Cluck the Chargers, okay? Screw them for taking Joe Alt and ruining our whole lives. They ruined our lives by taking Joe Alt. Let's be real. But here we freaking are. So, took Latham. Big body, you know what I'm saying? He played right tackle in college, but he was recruited to Alabama as a left tackle, so I don't think it's that big of a deal that him moving from right to left. He said he trained as a left tackle during this offseason for the draft, so people would know. So I'm not too worried about the switch from right to left tackle. So I think he'll be fine, and I think that's a pretty good pick. People were saying Olu Fashanu and Talise Fuaga were better than Latham. I'm like, Fuaga, what? Olu, you can have an argument, but Fuaga? You kidding me? Come on, bro. He is not better than Latham. All right. For one thing, Latham had a way higher pressure rate than Fuaga did. 1.4 pressure rate on all his snaps, and only gave up 2 sacks his whole 2 years starting. So people talk about he might not be as great of a pass blocker. I'm like, what are we looking at? Were we looking at the same thing? Because he looks like he's going to be a fine pass blocker. And then the dude is probably the best run blocker in this draft. And at 340, that dude is a menace. I mean, he's going to be unstoppable in the ground game. So him and Skoronski on the left side with Lloyd Cushenberry, the run left movement is back. Like, we can bring back the hats. The run left movement is returning to Tennessee this year. All right. So I gave that an A-. Not an A because it was not Joe Alt. Joe Alt would have gotten an A+. He's better. I mean, Joe Alt's better than Latham. I mean, it is what it is. So I gave it an A- just cause. People also said that we probably could have traded back and still got him. I don't personally believe that, based off of how the board fell. With the Jets taking Fashanu at 10, they could have taken Latham, and we wouldn't have been sitting here. And our coaches loved Latham. Like our O-line coach, who's like an elite coach, he loved Latham. Latham was his number 1 lineman. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. Not trading back. So it is what it is. Now, in the second round, we took T'Vondre Sweat. Not a fan. Okay, I was not a fan of that pick at all, to be honest. I wasn't. Like, off rip, like, instant reaction off rip, I gave it a D. But as the days went on, I got talked up into a C-. So I'm at a C- for it. But the risk reward is like very, very close with T'Vondre Sweat. I mean, he had some off the field issues, including that recent DWI. I think it showed maturity that he immediately was able to accept responsibility for it when he visited the Titans. Like, he visited the Titans like a day after he got it, and immediately owned up and took responsibility. So I think that's a step in the right direction. But then there's the fact that he's also 360 pounds. Usually they said that he immediately became the biggest defensive lineman in the league immediately. So that'll be an issue too, as well. Can he keep his weight down enough for him to be able to succeed? Because he's a great player. I mean, he's a monster in the middle. Like, there's nobody. Like, with this team this year, I gotta start doing that. It's gonna break that. But this team this year, if T'Vondre Sweat plays well and stays out the doghouse, you're not running the football on us. Between Jeff and Sweat, you're not running the ball on us. No, you're not running the ball on us. All right, and then he's got potential as a pass rusher. People are like, oh, he's just a 2-down guy. He's not going to be good or whatever. He's not going to be on there in passing situations. I think he's got potential. I think he's got pretty high potential to do that. And if he pans out, and all of a sudden we've got a dominant D-line for the next 4 years. Man, imagine Sweat pans out, and then 4 years from now we have to choose whether or not to pay Simmons or Sweat. That's tough. That's tough. That's worrisome right there. But so I don't like the pick. The risk is really high there. But hey, if he's great, he's great, and I love it. So moving on, we didn't have a 3rd round pick. So round 4, my favorite pick of the draft, which was Cedric Gray, linebacker, North Kakalaka. And I love this pick. We needed a linebacker. I was upset about Sweat more about the fact that we didn't take a linebacker there. I wanted a linebacker, an off-ball linebacker. I wanted Adrian Cooper or Junior Colson at 38 and not Sweat. That was more the main reason I was upset. So we ended up getting Cedric Gray, and I didn't think we'd be able to get Gray because I thought he was like the 3rd best guy. I didn't think we'd be able to get Gray because we didn't have a 3rd round pick. So we were able to still get him, and I loved that pick. The dude can fly. He can go east and west on that line of scrimmage like a mug. And he's a great coverage linebacker. He's probably one of the best. I think he's the best coverage linebacker in this class. Now that's not saying much because this class of off-ball linebackers was not very good. It was an okay class. It was an okay class, but it wasn't great. So, but he's still the best. So that's a huge pick, and we needed another linebacker because Kenneth Murray, they didn't want him. We needed a guy who could wear that green dot, who could call plays. And maybe I could be Gray. We'll see what happens. But I love that pick. I gave it an A. So that one I'm excited for. I'm excited to see him. 5th round, we took who was it? Brownlee. Jarvis Brownlee, the corner. From Louisville. And that dude's a menace. He's kind of small, but he is a menace. He's probably gonna end up being a slot corner for us eventually. I don't know if he'll be a starter because we loaded at corner. We got Chidobe, McCreary, traded for Snead, so we straight at corner for the next 2-3 years. But he could be something. We'll see how he pans out. I mean, that dude is a menace in the press. Like, you do not want to get pressed by him. He is a menace. So that's a pretty decent pick. I gave it a B. We'll see what happens there. People seem to forget that we still have Caleb Farley on the roster, who's a former 1st round pick. So it'll get different. We'll see what happens. But I was okay with that pick where it was. I gave it a B. Next pick, I think 6th round, we took Jaquan Jackson, wide receiver from Tulane. Wasn't a huge fan of this pick, especially with people like Taj Washington and Malik Washington and Brendan Rice all still on the board. and we took Jaquan Jackson, who's basically a pure punt returner with not a lot of production in his college career. He's almost 23. He's had a lot of injury history. He's basically just a return man, and that's fine, I guess. I mean, you need special teams, but that basically just told me that, okay, we're gonna let Burks work from the slot, and it's like, okay, we'll see what happens with Burks. We'll see, but I don't know about Jackson. He's shifty, mainly because he's small, but he's shifty. And, he was teammates with Tajay Spears. They were apparently roommates for like 4 years while in college, so that was probably pretty exciting for him. But we'll see how that one pans. I gave that one a C because I just thought that there were better guys that we could use, like Brendan Rice, Malik, Taj. I just thought that there were better options on the board there. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that pick. Hopefully he stays healthy because I don't know. Injury history with this team is just rancid. It's just absolutely horrible. But we'll see how he pans out. 7th round pick, we took James Williams. Our first seventh round pick was James Williams, the safety / linebacker. It sounds like we're gonna play him at linebacker. I think that was also a solid pick. I gave it a B. Yeah, that dude is big. That dude is big as a mug. He probably wasn't gonna be a safety anyway. He's like 6'5", 215. They're probably going to make him gain an extra 15 to 20 pounds so he can be like 6'5", 230, 235, and then they're going to put him at linebacker. And so now we got 2 linebackers, which is good. That gives us solid depth, and I'm okay with that, actually. But I gave that one also a B. And our final pick was Jalen Harrell from Michigan, edge rusher. I like that pick I like that pick a lot. I didn't think he was a 7th rounder. I didn't think he'd fall all the way that far. I was thinking maybe 5th round, maybe late 4th if somebody's desperate enough. But I thought for sure he's 5th round. Like, he's not going to be done. He's a pretty good edge rusher. We needed the depth, but people were like, "Oh, we need edge rusher. We need edge." I'm like, Harold Landry, Arden Key, Weaver, Caleb Murphy. Where's the need for an edge rusher? We're good. We're good. I mean, we're fine. I mean, I'm not saying that Key is great or anything. I mean, but he was decently productive, 6.5 sacks last year. Harold Landry is, in my opinion, one of the more underrated pass rushers. He just had 10.5 sacks this past year after coming off an ACL. Nobody seems to realize that Harold Landry is a pretty daggum good edge rusher. Had 12 sacks the year before he got hurt. Comes back, has 10 sacks. Why are y'all hating on Harold Landry? I don't get it. And then we had Weaver. He's alright. He wasn't that good. He wasn't as good last year though, so that's probably why we needed another edge rusher, because he was mid. At best, he was mid. And then Caleb Murphy just never got a chance. So, but I think I like this class a decent amount. We're gonna see what happens with the guys that I don't really like too much. But overall, I gave this class overall a B. I kind of averaged it out. It averaged out to a B. So the first real class of the Rand Carthon era, the Rand Carthon Brian Callahan era, we gonna see what go down. Personally, I think that if Levis is just decent. If Levis is just decent and Sweat is just decent, we're a playoff team. I believe that this roster is playoff good. Even with the draft picks, I believe that this roster is playoff good now. We can make the playoffs with this team. We can win 10 games with this team. I firmly believe that. Will it happen? We gonna see, because you know them injuries is a nigga, and injuries be hate. Injuries seem to only follow us around. Like they're apparently like we're the only team that can get all the injuries. So we're gonna see what happens. I'm gonna be back here soon. I'm gonna start doing some, because now we're in the summer, so it's dead period. Ain't nothing gonna be going on. So I'm gonna probably try to make some record predictions once the schedule comes out. Oh, real quick, let me talk about some other stuff in the draft. I'm upset that A.D. Mitchell went to the Colts. Very upset about that, because it's a rival, so you don't want them to do good, of course. And A.D. Mitchell was a great pick for them. The Falcons. Ugh. Huh? Why are you taking Penix after you just signed Kirk Cousins to a long-term deal? My issue with it more, because people are like, oh, it's a great pick because he now they don't have to look at the quarterback and they've got insurance and blah blah blah. I'm like, bro, then why'd you sign Kirk Cousins to a 4-year deal? $180 million, 100 of it guaranteed. He's gonna be making $25 million essentially off of your freaking thing every year for 4 years. Will he last the 4 years? Probably not. Obviously, probably not. But it's the fact that you signed him to that. Why did you even sign him to the deal if you knew you were going to get Penix? Which I don't think they knew they were going to get Penix at the time. So that's the funny part about that. I don't even think that they knew that they were getting Penix. And then Penix has the worst injury history I've ever seen. Like, worse than Caleb Farley. Farley had an ACL and a back, right? Freaking Penix had both ACLs, an Achilles, and then another injury that was also seen as injured. How the heck this nigga was able to play after having 4 season-ending injuries? I don't know how this nigga was able to still play. So I guess it is what it is at this point. But he's already 24, so when this dude starts, he's going to be 27, 28 years old. Maybe. Like, that's crazy work. I didn't like that pick. It was dumb of the Falcons. And now they're getting investigated for tampering with Cousins. Like, y'all are really a dumpster fire right now. But I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to get out of here on that note. And I'll see y'all when I see y'all. Deuces.
We appreciate all the support.